Ashi had just left Uttarakhand for college and moved to a new flat in Delhi. She found an apartment about half an hour away from her college. For the next 2 days, Ashi and her parents, who had come to drop her off, began setting up her house. While setting up, they found a cardboard box belonging to the previous owner, but they left it aside. 3 days later, after saying goodbye to Ashi, her parents left for their home in Uttarakhand. As they were leaving, Ashi's mother turned back, hugged her tightly, and said that she was feeling a strange uneasiness. It would have been better if Ashi had taken this uneasiness a little more seriously, because no one had imagined what was about to happen to her in the next few days. Ashi was very fond of photography and editing, and wanted to pursue further studies in this field. However, due to a lack of money at home, she had never been able to buy a professional camera. But she was happy to be in Delhi. She had made many friends in college. She even hosted a small party for her friends the following Saturday. Friday arrived in no time. As soon as Gaia returned from college, she started cleaning the house for the party. While cleaning the balcony, her eyes fell on a cardboard box lying in the corner, which had completely rotted after lying outside for so long. The box smelled of rotting cardboard, but for some reason it seemed to attract Ashi. When Ashi opened the box, she found a vintage camera and a reel lying inside along with some old stuff. Ashi was overjoyed to see this and quickly opened the camera, removed the old reel, loaded a new reel and started taking photos. She was also surprised that when everything else in such an old box had been destroyed, how was this camera still working? But she put all these thoughts aside and quickly went and started taking photos of the flower pots and plants outside. Right opposite Ashi's flat lived an old lady, Mrs. Kaushik, who used to say good morning to her every morning on her way to college. Seeing the same lady and her cat on the balcony, Ashi took some photos of them too and decided to get them developed and gift them to her. The next morning, Ashi had all the photos developed at a nearby photo studio, put them in an envelope, and went straight to Mrs. Kaushik, who liked them very much. When Ashi returned home, she started looking at the other photos and noticed something very strange in each photo. Somewhere in the background of every photo taken with that camera was a very blurry shadow with a smile on its face. As she looked at those photos, Ashi got lost in them. It felt as if that shadow's smile was slowly filling each photo, and in each second photo it was getting closer to the camera. Suddenly the doorbell rang. When Ashi opened the door, her friends were standing there. It was Saturday, and her friends had arrived for a house party, but Ashi was feeling a little unwell, so she canceled the party and sent her friends back. When she returned to her room, her attention again went to the camera. This time, Ashi used the camera to take a photo of herself in the mirror. I clicked a few pictures, then suddenly a crack started appearing on the mirror. Seeing this, Ashi dropped the camera from her hand. As soon as Ashi turned back, she could see her reflection in the mirror. But in that reflection, she still had the camera in her hand and the same terrifying smile on her face. Seeing which, she screamed very loudly and fell down after hitting the chair kept there. When she got up, the mirror was absolutely normal. There was just a crack on it. She thought it was all her fault, so she kept quiet. She went to sleep 2 days later. While reading Ashiki in her living room, she fell asleep in the afternoon. She woke at 3 a.m. Ashi gathered her books and started toward her room. But what she saw before her from the drawing room window stunned her. Mrs. Kaushik was standing on her balcony, a huge smile on her face, just like in her other photos. Ashi froze in place as if trying her best, but she couldn't move. Suddenly, a hand emerged from behind Mrs. Kaushik, holding a piece of glass, and it attacked her throat. Ashi wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Terrified, she closed her eyes tightly. When she opened them, she was lying on her bed, with Mrs. Kaushik's cat roaming around on the bed. Thinking it was a dream, Ashi went back to sleep. The next night at 9 a.m., Ashi woke up to a call from her friend. She saw the cat sitting in the corner of the room, staring intently at it. She kept looking at the camera, but Ashi's eyes widened when she saw bloodstains all over her bed, all from the cat's paws. Ashi ran back to her window and saw Mrs. Kaushik standing right where she'd seen her last night, holding the shard of glass. Her cat was sitting next to her in a pool of blood, licking its feet. The surrounding flowers had wilted, and all the plants in the pots had died. Ashi ran to her room, but the cat had disappeared. But the bloodstains were still scattered throughout the room. Ashi couldn't understand anything. She quickly threw the camera into the dustbin. Her eyes fell on the old reel in the box. When she looked at it closely, she realized that the old reel was the same one Mrs. Kaushik had taken, of the same plants and flowers she'd taken just 3 days earlier. But this time the shadows were clearly visible. In every photo, Ashi herself was standing behind her, with the same terrifying smile on her face. Ashi felt like she was going crazy. She was leaving, and as she saw the next pictures, her whole body went numb. The next pictures were of Ashi, many from her childhood and many from her school days. In every picture, that shadow was standing right behind Ashi, watching her with a scary smile. Suddenly, a click came from the camera lying in the dustbin behind her, but there was nothing behind. Then Ashi saw the last picture on that reel, and that last picture was also of Ashi, a photo taken in the drawing room with the reel in hand from the bin. But the most terrifying thing about that photo was that in the photo, right in front of Ashi, Mrs. Kaushik and many other people were standing with long, scary smiles. Shivering, Ashi looked up and the same shadow came right in front of Ashi and shouted loudly, "Smile!" Since that night, Ashi hadn't come to college, nor was she taking anyone's calls. Worried, the next day her friends went inside with the flat agent, but there was no one there, just a lot of stuff. Right among the stuff, a vintage camera and a reel, which Ashi's parents had taken with Ashi's belongings. There was no trace of Ashi for several months, but one day, Ashi's younger brother picked up the camera and took a photo of the tree outside their house, which completely rotted after 3 days. When her younger brother got the photo developed, he saw Ashi standing behind the tree.